to our start of our broadcast week. I know it's not a week, it's 4 days, but you get my point. From Israel. It starts with Nefesh B'Nefesh. We had a change of itinerary. Did I mention that we had a change of itinerary? I mentioned it a few times. And we needed a place to broadcast today and considered, obviously, a variety of locations. And ended up in Nefesh B'Nefesh. Yes, the fact that we considered a variety of locations is shocking to my Fass. and don't worry, your mic's not on yet. And of course, where are we? We are here starting our trip at Nefesh B'Nefesh. Because if there's one thing we learned from the Olim with Nefesh B'Nefesh this summer, is they don't postpone and they do not cancel. They go ahead, and Nefesh B'Nefesh, of course, is on par with them. They're not canceling any trips. They're not postponing any Aliyah flights. They are flying this coming Monday. The controversy, of course, is that there's a rumor out there that some of the people at Nefesh B'Nefesh feel that we have exhausted Rabbi Fass's theme song. That's what some of the people at Nefesh B'Nefesh feel. And that making Aliyah today, which is, of course, the best theme song anyone has ever come up with for anybody, maybe should be retired. That was the discussion, and that was that's what some people were saying. Before I introduce Rabbi Fass, it's only appropriate to play this theme song, to make a point of the fact that we are staying with this theme song, and that there is no better way to introduce the co-founder and executive director of Nefesh B'Nefesh than with this theme song. Have I made my point? I've made my point? It's clear. So, ladies and gentlemen, before we introduce Rabbi Fass, we introduce Lenny Solomon and Making Aliyah Today.
Got a call from a man today. It was my rabbi. He said, move away. Go to a place where the land is good, land of milk and honey and brotherhood. I was born in the USA. Now I'm making Aliyah today. I was born in the USA. Now I'm making Aliyah today.
All right, there it is. The official introduction for the co-founder and executive director of Nefesh B'Nefesh, Rabbi Josh Yehoshua Fass, who joins us here at the Nefesh B'Nefesh Broadcast Center in Jerusalem. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much.
No better theme song does anybody have.
No better office for me to come to work today.
No.
I had many other options, but I decided to show up today at my office.
Isn't that funny? I guess he doesn't get the hyperbole. He doesn't get the drama behind stories like that. I can't just say we're at Nefesh B'Nefesh. I have to tell everybody the machinations, stretch out the story a bit. Anyway, I want to tell you something. I've been thinking about this conversation for 3 weeks. We'll do the whole thing about Tuesday's flight, don't worry.
Okay.
And Tuesday you're going to join us from the airport.
Looking forward.
I didn't expect to see you today, frankly.
Why?
Because we weren't supposed to be here originally until you graciously opened up your broadcast center for us. Rabbi Fass, I have been thinking about this. Where are my notes? I've been thinking about this for 3 weeks. On the 21st of July, that was the day the flight left, the 21st, right? On the 21st of July, Monday, we were in JFK together.
Correct.
And hours before, you had informed the Nefesh B'Nefesh family, and it's not just the Olim, it's their families in Israel, it's the people that normally come out for the celebration, that there would be a toned-down celebration. You were advised so, security personnel, etc.
Instructed so.
Instructed so. 51st flight. The first 50 had been greeted by hundreds and then thousands. I mean, now over 1,000 show up, over 1,500 show up at a typical flight. And you told this to us. And I said to myself, as we landed in Tel Aviv, and I'm sure you remember as I do, that when we walked into the terminal, the only celebration was the few Nefesh B'Nefesh staff members who insisted on at least singing for the Olim, at least something they had to do, right?
Initially, it was really sad.
it was a lot more low-key than you were used to.
Yeah.
And all this is going on, and I said, wow, we are going to be back. Let me get the exact date. We're going to be back on the 12th of August in this airport. We're going to be back on the 12th of August in this airport. What is life going to be like 3 weeks later? because I believe that from July 21st to the 11th of August, when the flight leaves on Monday, is not just 3 weeks on the calendar. I believe it's a lot more than that. The world is different. The state of Israel is different. The state of Aliyah and the attitude toward Aliyah, which you did not know how it would adjust 3 weeks ago. You had no clue how things would adjust. I remember you saying to me, by the way, that we have no idea what's going to be with the August flight. If this goes on and ground forces go in and all that, what's it going to mean to people? Will it mean that they'll be more prone to canceling or postponing their flight? You had no idea. And here we are 3 weeks later, and we can discuss just how different things are in the context of Nefesh B'Nefesh. And the good news is this. I'll let you talk in a minute. And the good news is this, Rabbi Fass.
You're doing great.
Yeah, I know. So far, so good. In the context of Nefesh B'Nefesh, nothing is different. It is unbelievable that one person on the August flight, which, as we learned earlier, has over 100 lone soldiers, who you might suspect could at least, easily postpone their trip to Israel. Not one person on the flight has postponed or canceled. In fact, someone from your staff got on this show earlier today and said that if someone wanted to make Aliyah on that flight on Monday, they still could right now. They could still facilitate them to be able to, if there was room. Right, there's no room on the flight, right?
There's no room.
There's no room on the flight.
We're over.
Right. Don't say you're overbooked.
We are overbooked.
Yeah, don't say that.
But we're not talking about this right now. We're overbooked.
So that's the attitude here. The attitude is that we're just going to continue to surge forward. And frankly, I bet that you're sitting here in our broadcast center at Nefesh B'Nefesh not having a clue what type of celebration you could describe for this Tuesday at Nahum Siegel. I bet you have no idea if there'll be 1,500 people there or 50 people there, if it'll be a full-scale celebration or a toned-down one. I bet that at this point, we still don't know what's going to be happening Tuesday at the airport.
You are 1,000% right.
We have no idea.
We have no idea. This whole morning we've been on the phone with Pekuda Oref and the airport authorities, and they are waiting. They have not given us a green light yet, and we are waiting for the next few hours, hopefully till Friday. We'll see what happens. But at this point, they still feel that they're in high alert, and they don't want a huge ceremony, and we are waiting for that celebration.
And you're obviously complying with whatever their instructions are.
I don't think we have a choice, but we are trying to leverage as much political muscle that we can offer to
because the attitude here is that it could probably be a little bit more souped up than the last one was, right? I would guess that's the attitude here. It could certainly be, if not a full-fledged celebration, something between what we saw in July and what a typical celebration would be.
We would love to see a full-fledged ceremony in summer 2014. We're due for one. I think we all need an outlet. We all need an expression to celebrate our achdut and to celebrate our country and our homeland. And I think we've all gone through a very trying 4 or 5 weeks. And I think to celebrate Tzionut continuing and Kibbutz Galiot continuing, I think we're all due for a nice celebration. And I'm trying to impart that to the airport authorities. But we're waiting for ultimate authorities to...
I am assuming that if things go on as normal, that nobody will be informed about anything. It'll be a normal process, and you'll be told, hey, if you registered, come to the airport and enjoy, right? And it'll be a full-fledged celebration. But, of course, if anything has to change, you'll let people know, whether it's Friday, whether it's Saturday night, whether it's Sunday.
No. Do not start storming the airport until you hear from us. We will send out confirmations to everyone.
Excuse me. Rabbi
you know what? I'm having second thoughts about this.
Rabbi Fass, it's all in the attitude.
It's all in the
I don't
attitude
understand
in this broadcast center of Nefesh B'Nefesh.
I say we tell people exactly that, and unless you hear otherwise,
then you should go to my house or else Nachum's hotel room, and we can continue the celebration there.
I don't understand something. If nobody hears anything, shouldn't they assume that their registration has been processed for Tuesday's celebration, that they should in fact show up to the airport? Shouldn't they feel that way?
No.
They should not feel that. We are now awaiting word.
We're in a waiting word state.
See, why do I think that the default is that there has to be a celebration? I kept thinking that the default is that, of course, there's going to be a celebration, and if things change, then they change.
Your optimism is inspiring. You're half cup full.
What you're saying is that we are still in July mode, and if things hopefully change, then everybody will be informed.
Exactly. We've built a.
I'm so glad I straightened this out.
We've built a 3-week chazaka that has to be changed and challenged by new instructions, and we hope and pray that we will have some calm so we can have a celebration.
There you go. Do we have
Continued calm.
Do we have any idea who will be among the dignitaries at JFK yet? Do we have any clue who might be at JFK? Well, we see the same type of people, consul generals and representatives of the Israeli government who will join, and Alal people, of course, who will join you on Monday at JFK.
Yes, and we also have a nice delegation from the JNF who are coming on the plane as well. Russell Robinson is chairing that delegation, so he'll be there as well, and other personalities, and Ben Gurion, hopefully with the ceremony, will also have a very, very beautiful and emotional lineup.
And as you've proven, even if it's not a full-fledged ceremony,
It might be even better. Who knows?
As you've proven, you're still able to provide some very prominent people who make commitments to come to the airport and welcome the Olim.
Absolutely.
Amazing. I love it.
Remarkable.
Rabbi Yehoshua Josh Fass is here in our broadcast center at Nefesh B'Nefesh as we anticipate one of the most important flights in the history of the State of Israel, one that happens this coming Tuesday with not one postponement or cancellation, coming on the heels of this very tense time in Israel over the last few weeks.
I actually had to decline a family of 6 last night because the plane is completely full.
A family of 6 who were ready to come Tuesday?
Who wanted to come. They wanted to move up because of what was happening in Israel. They wanted to express their solidarity. They wanted to move up their flight, their Aliyah plans. And they said, could we get on Monday's flight? And I said, this is the first time that a week before a flight on a jumbo, because a jumbo is 400 seats, I said, I'm overbooked. We're completely packed, which is an incredible feat, which is an incredible message as well. So,
May I make a statement, Rabbi Fass?
Go for it.
I'm already in Israel. I'll be greeting the plane on Tuesday. If I was on the flight, I'd give up my seat for one of the people from that family. How do you like that? How magnanimous is that of me, that I'm willing to give up my seat to allow them to go and make Aliyah?
And the 5 others.
Oh, I don't know how that would work, but maybe there are other people. Maybe there are other people that would go ahead and give up their seats as well.
So we limited staff. We limited others to. We actually moved as much Olim into as many sections of the plane as possible to make.
You know why we arrived in Israel early this trip, because we know you'd need the room.
Thank you.
So of course.
Thank you.
All right. Before we talk about Aliyah and this special trip on Tuesday, why is it? And I don't even know if you can give an honest answer, because I don't even know if the way you feel about this you could say in a public forum, but I'm going to give it a shot anyway. Why is it that we see this unique group of people that call you at the last minute that they want to be part of Tuesday's flight because of the situation this summer, and the same group of people who refuse to postpone and refuse to cancel in light of everything that's happened over the last few weeks, while at the same time, unfortunately, we see people who are canceling trips to Israel, who are not ready to follow through on their own commitments for celebrations here and family events here, etc. How is it that those two things are happening at the same time during this summer of 2014?
An honest, politically incorrect response.
Please.
On the record.
We need ratings.
When you get it, you get it.
And some people, it takes time to get it.
When you get it and it clicks and you have a true, real perception in life and see what really matters and what's important and where your heart is and where your mind is and where your passion is and what God wants from you, it becomes natural.
I consider myself on the front lines of the tourism industry. Why?
I'm sure you are.
And I'll tell you why. Because when I show up here, I am in direct contact with people, obviously, in the tourism industry, hotels, cabs, stores, etc., etc. The people that depend on tourists. You're a family man here in Israel, so you have more of a limited, you have a different perspective, I should say, on this whole issue.
Yeah, I'm not taking insult to that, but I agree with that.
Insult?
Yeah.
You should be commended for it. What do you mean insult? So I will tell you that this trip is not, and I've been here a lot of times before during trying times, and I've heard all the complaints and analysis by people in the tourism industry about our brethren from North America letting us down. But there seems to be a little bit more of an anger and disappointment this time around.
The numbers are exponential this time.
And it's not only that, it's the time of year.
Yeah.
They are very dependent on August to be a heavy tourism season to survive the rest of the year. So that's a very big factor. I've been here during other times of the year. Maybe it wasn't as, maybe in February they didn't expect, so many people to come. August is a massively heavy
They're
time.
Estimating close to $300 million worth of loss of tourism over the last few weeks.
And imagine how many families in Israel that affects.
Tons.
It's insane.
It's it's an infusion of tremendous infusion of income to this country, and hotels are completely empty. And not only that, All bar mitzvah celebrations have been emptied. I have friends who manage these the wedding affairs and bar mitzvah affairs. They've been wiped out.
The ripple effect of this summer is so vast, it's unbelievable. And aside from being the time of year, I also think that we've disappointed them so many times. We have disappointed them. I'm sorry for saying this to the North American public, but I'm going to say it. We have disappointed them so many times in the past that I think they're sort of fed up already. I think they realize that we just can't depend.
Let's not end with a negative.
We're not ending anything yet.
Fine. But just look at just the YouTube that's floating around for the last few days of the Diamond District spontaneous counter-protest. And we have it in our blood. We have that spark. We have that energy. We just have to galvanize it a bit, organize it a bit, recalibrate it a little bit. But the people mean well. Sometimes people are scared. Some people don't have the right outlets. Some people don't have the right leadership. But we have to get out there better. And we have to organize a little bit better. I think our leadership has to tweak its approach with its connectivity to how we express ourselves to Israel's support.
Okay. I'm willing to agree with everything you've said.
And
you're being a little bit too understanding. I'm trying to pound the hammer here a little bit, and
I think the people mean well. I think they just need the
I agree with you.
I think leadership needs to encourage the people. I think if every single rabbi, every single congregation leader got up in front of the community and said, Israel's going through this. This is the few things that we can do by living in the diaspora. We won't cancel our trips. We will continue to have our celebrations. Instead of just sending cards to soldiers and packaging pizzas for soldiers, that's really nice. But it's not Dayenu. There's so much more they can do. And for the 2 weeks or the 3 weeks or the 10 days that they plan to come, stand up and as a leader, communicate to your flock, to your congregation, that life can continue as it does in Israel, and we're going to continue supporting them no matter what. And if it means that you change and nuance your trip a little bit, so be it. But it doesn't mean to cancel en masse to affect not only the second wave of damage, which really was caused by the really economic downfall that was happening with the lack of all the tourism.
And again, I will say that you go back a few weeks, you had no idea what would happen. You had no clue if this August flight would be filled.
I tell you, it's to do something 50 times. Certain things become so routinized that you don't expect. You've even experienced the surprises. You've had that already. Okay, that surprise happened. We've done that 5 times.
Right,
that can happen. That's
right.
Okay. Take out that book. That surprise is surprise 27. But we've never experienced that. We've never experienced it in 12 years, and so it was new to us. And it created a little nervousness and some anxiety, and some excitement as well, doing something different for a new flight. And I was so concerned, most than anything, for the Olim. I wanted their day to be something special. And with having all these instructions and restrictions imposed on us, I thought that it would really strip them from that real historic and heroic moment. But it actually came out beautiful. It was a really beautiful day. For me, one of my most emotional ceremonies of the 51.
Yeah, we played your comments on the air, and it was obvious that it was a very emotional experience. This whole summer is going to make your organization even stronger. All right? It could have been just the opposite, and I think one could argue that it's just going to make the Aliyah efforts, even stronger as people witness this commitment by so many hundreds not to cancel and postpone.
I agree, and I hope that's a true statement.
Bezrat Hashem. Rabbi Yehoshua Fass is with us, co-founder of Nefesh B'Nefesh, and its executive director, of course. It's how we're starting our trip. What could you tell us of interest regarding Monday's flight from JFK?
It's a big plane.
The biggest, right? This is the biggest one
you
ever
don't
take.
realize how big a jumbo is until you fill it with people of your own. When you seat 400 people, come to my office. You'll see it's ridiculous. I have all these charts of a plane. And then you walk through a plane. Usually when you find your seat, you don't really move around.
You don't explore.
But when it's your plane and you start walking around, there are different floors. It's a huge plane, and it's double the fun, double the energy, double the excitement, double the inspiration. It's just a lot of people. It's a lot of people. And so it just magnifies everything. Magnifies the paperwork, the processing, the flow of people and just the atmosphere itself. I love jumbos. It creates tremendous challenges for us as an organization because the same amount of processing that we do in those few hours,
Right.
I mean, it's not a longer flight. You have to do everything double fast. And it's a lot more people and a lot more sensitivities and nuances. But on the plane, we have 400 people. We have 338 olim. It's packed. Every single seat is full. Not a single seat is empty. And we have 108 chayalim bodedim,
We
lone
heard that
soldiers,
earlier. That's an amazing statistic.
which is beautiful. The only reason why we have less than last year is because so many came early.
Ah.
So
they,
many,
they left in July instead of August.
so many accelerated their trip
They wanted to get there faster.
because we have more lone soldiers this year
Right.
than last year.
Just less in August.
And just less than on the plane, which is great, which is fine because I have no seats anyway, so it works out for me.
And I mentioned earlier that I know a family leaving on a group flight just days later. Everyone thinks that Nefesh B'Nefesh's summer comes to a close on Tuesday. You're working the next
We're
week.
work. Everyone goes back. That
It's
was a nice
unbelievable.
ceremony. It's like we
Yeah.
have like go out for the next flight.
And the next flight is the next
every
week.
week. It's been incredible.
Unbelievable what people do.
We have a young baby. We have a,
How old is that young baby?
I think 1.5 months old.
Just born 6 weeks ago.
Crazy talk.
On the flight.
Not on the flight. I
No,
mean,
meaning the baby will be on the flight.
I got the dangly modifier. Thank you. And then
That wasn't my fault.
No,
I'm
that was
sorry.
my fault. I
Thank
haven't
you.
slept as much as Rachel has. And we have a 93-year-old, 93 young Ola. We have 4 generations on the plane, sitting in 4 different sections of the plane. I just realized that's a great trivia question.
I didn't even know there were 4 sections.
Name
of
a
play.
fam-
Aren't there 3? Aren't there
There
3
are actually
sections?
6. Come to my office.
So there are 4 generations sitting
4
on that
generations
plane.
sitting.
From what city are they? Do you know? Do you know where they're from?
New Jersey.
Wow.
I think they're spread out purposely.
They don't want to be near each other.
No, so that's
A joke, folks. A joke.
Yes.
Just want to
So
make it
that's
clear.
unique. That's a beautiful. We have a bunch of doctors and dentists and nurses and educators and therapists.
On the July flight, I met people moving to right near Kiryat Gat. Now, anybody who knows, Kiryat Gat was, in a rough zone over the last few weeks.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. In a very rough zone. Do you know people that are heading to places like Beersheba and Kiryat
We have a bunch
Gat?
of people going to the south. We have a bunch of people going to the north.
It will not deter them.
It will not deter
In the
anyone.
last 10 days, they didn't say to you, we're not going to the south.
No,
Just the opposite problem.
just the opposite. Listen, if you can come on the July flight and move south,
Then you
you can come on the August flight and go south.
Simple as that. NBN.org.il, NBN.org.il. I learned another thing from one of your staff members here earlier today. You don't need an entire year or 6 months to prepare your aliyah. And I think he was semi-kidding about being on the flight this coming Tuesday.
We have a new program, Sloppy Aliyah. You can do it in like 5 hours. No, I'm joking. You won't get your paperwork. Your name will be wrong. You'll leave 2 kids back at home.
But in all seriousness,
Your house won't be packed or sold. Sloppy Aliyah.
But in
For
all-
everyone out
but in
there.
all seriousness, you could do it in a month's time if you wanted to.
Yes.
Okay, let's make that clear.
Okay.
Gosh, we don't want to discourage people. Remember on the plane you exposed the surprise aliyah concept?
Yes.
Or we're not ready to talk about it.
Let's take it out to the listeners right now, since we're broadcasting from
And,
Nefesh broadcast.
and by the way, you told me that your partner, Tony Gelbart,
Yes.
was mistakenly a victim of surprise aliyah once when they gave him the
Not
wrong-
him, another person.
Oh, it wasn't Tony.
For Tony's sake, every single time that he falls asleep, I just make him an Oleh. He's been an Oleh around 11 times over the last 12 years.
But somebody actually got handed the wrong passport and then had trouble leaving the country at one point. So you had to intervene.
We
on their
had a
behalf.
VIP couple
Right.
coming on the plane.
And we were told the story was about Tony, but I guess it's
No,
about
it was
the
not
couple.
Tony. And the wife's passport got slipped into the Olim passports. And as they were leaving 2 days later, they were like, "Where's your Tudat Mavar?" The woman was an Israeli citizen, so we had to undo that. Oops.
That is
No,
great. That is, and it's a true story. Is it
I
not-
would not tell an untrue story, A, and I would not tell an untrue story that was not flattering. So,
I mean, that must have been hilarious. So, although
it
I'm
was
sure-
hilarious
I'm sure
for
not
all those
her,
involved,
except for her.
except for nobody.
You're saying it wasn't the most fun experience you've had.
They
That
were
could be
they
in
were
your surprise
great.
book.
They were great couple, and they rolled with it, and they had great.
And you know what
laughs.
they said? Worst comes to worst, we're in Israel permanently, right? Is that how they handled it? That's the worst thing.
They
that
said,
could
"Worst
happen.
comes will have a great story."
Any information you need about Nefesh B'Nefesh, nbn.org.il. If you want to know about the ceremony on Tuesday at the airport, await your email. Rabbi Fass will be in touch with everybody directly who's officially registered, and he'll give you information on exactly what's happening. It'll hopefully be a full-fledged celebration, if not something very close to it. We'll see what happens. We're looking forward to it. And what do we say about JFK? If you have family and friends that are leaving on Monday's flight, come on out, greet them, show them some support at the airport, and you will see some incredible scenes, especially among the lone soldiers. You will see them separate from their families and carry out a Zionist dream that's usually not only theirs, but their families as well.
It is a very emotional scene. JFK for the lone soldier flights is always a very emotional scene of parents saying goodbye to their sons and daughters, and many times giving them a bracha on their heads. And it's a lot of tears, a lot of hugs.
We saw the difference between last year's flight, which was lone soldiers, and then July, which was dominated by families. Not saying there wasn't separation anxiety and everything. Of course there is, but just a different type of feel.
Different farewell.
Right, exactly.
Different farewell. Different intensities on different sides of the ocean.
Plus, of course, serving in the Army is in the background, that's hovering over everybody, and that obviously has great significance to American parents. Yes.
The jumbo plane, I just realized, is so big. Sorry. Yeah. How big is it?
How big is it?
Is that we had 100 kids on the July flight, and everyone was talking about that it was a kids' flight.
Right.
This plane is so big that we have 110 kids on it, and no one even paying attention to the kids.
That's funny.
Right?
I commented to somebody there were 100 kids on the flight, and it was such a quiet flight, and then someone said, you didn't walk around enough.
You didn't. You didn't walk around at all. But jumbo plane is that big that everyone calls it the soldier flight.
Right.
They're actually
more kids.
A 777 worth of olim on the plane in addition to the soldiers.
Imagine that. Plus a 6-week-old kid. Let's not forget that month-and-a-half-year-old who's going to be on that
plane. Who was just born on the plane.
Close to the
yes.
Close to the date of leaving. All right, Rabbi Fass, we'll see you. Let's make a date of it. We'll see you Tuesday morning at Ben Gurion Airport when you and everybody from Nefesh will be greeting this incredible flight. I can't wait to meet the heroes. I
cannot wait to see you.
And we can't wait to see you as well. And thank you for hosting us here today.
My pleasure.
Nefesh B'Nefesh.
I'm glad we were choice number one.
Yes, we were choice number. You were choice number one. Nefesh B'Nefesh headquarters, our broadcast center, is always coming through for us, and we appreciate it. And we will continue to utilize this as Rabbi Fass's theme song, because we've determined there is We've determined there is no better theme song than this for Rabbi Fass's appearances on JM in the AM.